Good evening. And first at 5, some big news out of Salem, where Oregon's governor revealed her pick for Secretary of State. You might say it's a choice that seems to set a clear tone for that office moving forward. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. The announcement comes after Shemia Fagan resigned over a scandal surrounding a side job consulting for a cannabis company. Let's get to Tim Gordon in the newsroom. And Tim, Tina Kotek said today she wants to restore trust in that office.
Right, Laurel. And today she appointed Lavon Griffin-Valade, who has a long track record of holding government accountable. Now the former auditor will be Oregon's next Secretary of State. This is a current picture of Lavon Griffin-Valade. For most of the past decade, she's pursued a successful career as a novelist. But prior to that, she spent 16 years as a government performance auditor, first for Multnomah County and then for the city of Portland, including 8 years as an elected auditor. This is video from 2007. Today, Governor Tina Kotek announced Griffin-Valade will serve again as Oregon Secretary of State.
I took my time, and after taking the time to evaluate this very critical decision, I feel strongly that Lavon Griffin-Valade is the right person to meet this moment and regain Oregonians' faith in their government.
Kotek said she'd considered Griffin-Valade from the start, along with many others, to replace embattled Secretary of State Shemia Fagan, who resigned in early May. Fagan resigned amid mounting pressure over revelations she worked a side job as a paid consultant for a chain of troubled marijuana dispensaries, all while overseeing a state audit on cannabis regulation.
I did not make specific asks. What I said to Lavon is, I need your expertise. I need you to take your experience and say, how is the office doing?
The governor says she wants the next Secretary of State to make sure the office is in good shape and then rebuild its reputation.
I know Lavon Griffin-Valade first and foremost from her experience holding government leaders accountable, her ethical judgment, and her reputation as a leader with a steady hand who rises above politics.
As for Fagan, she is facing both state and federal investigations. I asked Governor Kotek what she hoped would come from them.
I want the truth to come out, and I want people to understand the whole story and understand what we learn from this going forward. When a scandal happens, hopefully we learn from it and keep it from happening in the future.
So Griffin-Valade will be sworn in on Friday and will serve the next 18 months. That's through the big November 24 election. Now, it's unclear if she plans to run to hold on to that job beyond that. She'll certainly be asked that on Friday. David?
Yeah, no pressure, right? Thank you, Tim. The big developments now this evening in our homeless crisis, because Portland's street response team now needs a new leader. Robin Burke, who's led that team since it was formed in 2020, is moving on to another city government job. The program provides unarmed response to 911 calls involving mental health issues. It's been hailed as a model for other cities, though it's had its share of challenges, namely funding. This program was also championed by former Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Now, since Renee Gonzalez has taken over, he's barred workers from handing out tents and has asked them to respond to some city-ordered sweeps.
Meantime, it's a historic ruling against an organization that clears homeless campsites in Portland. Rapid Response BioClean has been found liable for throwing away a homeless woman's personal belongings during a sweep. This sets an important precedent for future sweeps in the city. The ruling just came down in the 2020 lawsuit filed by a homeless person against Rapid Response. It found they wrongly put her things in a dumpster instead of what they're required to do, which is store it for 30 days regardless of the condition. Rapid Response denies the claim, but owes about $400 in damages to the woman. They did not want to comment when we called them today.
And it sets an important precedent that under Oregon law, everybody's property is valued.
You lose your tent, everything, they pack it up, sweep it up.
Portland's camp removal crews have cleared or removed 4,000 sites in the last 12 months. That's according to city data. We don't know how many of those sites Rapid Response cleared, but some argue they've been throwing out people's things all along. Coming up at 6 o'clock on The Story, why the attorneys behind the case believe this could be just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's head up to the Seattle area, where one city is trying a different approach in its efforts to catch criminals. In Linwood, it looks like something out of a sci-fi show, or maybe it's one of Q's James Bond inventions. A little box on the front of a police car, and using an air compressor, it can shoot a GPS tracker through the air and onto the back of a suspect's vehicle. Tech like this was a response to the 2021 law that limited police pursuits in Washington. While some of the law has now been rolled back, police say this new tech has been so successful, they plan to keep using it.
You know, you've seen the evolution of pursuits and laws change and everything. So this is just another tool that allows us to do it. And again, it's really safer for everyone.
Linwood police say the GPS trackers will only be used for suspected felony cases. All right, let's head to PDX now, where the season of summer travel is in full swing, with flight delays and disruptions elsewhere in the country causing a bit of a ripple effect right here in the Northwest. If anyone knows what that feels like, it is our Mike Benner. Mike, who could forget you and your family stuck day after day after day in St. Louis last December trying to get home with thousands of other travelers? Fortunately, you are not flying today. How's it looking right now?
First of all, David, do you really have to remind me about the travel woes back in December? What a nightmare. Fortunately, nothing like that here at PDX today. I just took a stroll through the terminal, and it appears to be business as usual. And perhaps that has something to do with the relatively low number of canceled and delayed flights at PDX, only a couple dozen today. And an overwhelming majority of those were delays, not cancellations. Of course, good news for travelers, but that's not to say these folks won't run into issues in other cities. I want you to listen to this. Since the weekend, there have been more than 22,000 flights canceled or delayed across the U.S. Why, you ask? Well, we're told there's a shortage of air traffic controllers. And in addition to that, storms in the Northeast and smoke from the wildfires in Canada are slowing things considerably. The timing of this could not be worse. We're less than a week away from the 4th of July, and a lot of people are traveling.
Travel is off with a boom for the 4th of July holiday. We're seeing a record number of people traveling, so we are back surpassing the travel volumes we saw before the pandemic. And the numbers are pretty staggering. We're looking nationwide at 51 million Americans traveling over the 4th of July, and that includes 587,000 Oregonians taking a trip.
Again, the situation at PDX, at least today, is not too bad. Other airports could be worse. You should be aware of that and pack some patience. Back to you.
Well, no place I'd rather be than right here. Thank you, Mike.